Hello, good morning. So we are here to talk about the second part of Sartre's existential philosophy. So today, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about bad faith. So before I actually talk about bad faith and tell you, what it is, let me just, briefly recap what we went over in our last video. So you might remember that at the last video, Sartre's view is that we are beings that are shot through with nothingness. We are beings through whom nothingness comes into this world. And the upshot of that is that we are radically free because we can use this nothingness to, to create, to bring things into existence that weren't here before. So in this sense, we are radically free. So as a result of this, we can actually come up with two new slogans for for existentialism. The first slogan is, well, we are radically free, and the second slogan is no excuses. Why no excuses? Well, because to be radically free means that you are also radically responsible for for your actions and choices and who you are, who you become in this world. If you are radically free, you are radically responsible, and so you have you no longer have the option of delegating responsibility or abdicating responsibility, or or blaming things or people in your environment for who you are or what you have become. So for example, if you realize that you are radically free, then you can't blame you can't blame your boss at work for creating a bad work environment and making you unhappy at work by giving you so many demands at work, because ultimately you are the one who, well, first, you are the one who freely chose to be a worker. You are the one who chose to work at that firm, and you are the one who made, so in that sense you are the one who made your boss your boss. You are the one who created and freely created the situation in which you are in. So to blame yourself, to blame the boss for that, for making you unhappy at work, would be a rather silly thing to do from the point of view of radical freedom. Along with radical freedom, along with freedom also comes consciousness of the freedom, because we are free, and it is at some point it's difficult to be free without becoming conscious that we are free. And to be conscious that we are free also means to be conscious of this radical freedom and the radical responsibility that comes along with it. What is this consciousness of freedom? Sartre calls this consciousness of freedom anguish. So you might be wondering why did he choose to use such a terrible word? I mean, why does he call the consciousness of freedom anguish? It sounds like a terrible thing. The reason is because of the radical responsibility that comes with radical freedom. Once you realize that you're radically free, you also can't help realizing that you are radically responsible. So, and that produces, that oftentimes produces a feeling of anguish, because you know that you are now totally unable to blame anybody at all in your environment or anything in your environment for being who you are. You are, very, very literally your own God and your own boss. And you can imagine that, knowing that you are radically free all the time, it can be in this way a rather overbearing, a big burden to bear. So it is very natural for human beings to want to run away from this consciousness of our freedom at least some of the time. And this is where bad faith comes in. So to be in bad faith is to be conscious of your freedom in order to flee this consciousness of freedom. So before I go on, I want to say that when Sartre talks about bad faith, he doesn't mean bad in a moral sense. So if you are in bad faith, it doesn't mean that you are a bad person or an evil person. Doesn't mean you're a terrible person. It just means, well, he's just using bad faith to describe a very common condition, a very common aspect of the human condition. It is a condition that almost all of us who are human have been in at one time or another. I think Sartre would even say that it is impossible to be human without being in bad faith. So, in order to understand bad faith better, let me give you an example of bad faith. And this is an example that Sartre actually uses in the in that short passage from Being and Nothingness that I asked you to read on Moodle this week. It's posted on Moodle and it's only 2 pages and it's kind of a fun read. So please read it. Anyway, the example that is in those 2 pages is an example of a woman who is on a first date with with a man. Well, so the man asks her on a date. He's obviously sexually interested in her. She's undecided about the man. She doesn't really know what she wants yet. She doesn't know if she finds him attractive yet. She wants to just kind of play the game and see how things turn out. So she goes on a date with the man. Presumably, they are sitting down someplace for dinner, and they start making conversation, and the woman starts to during the course of the conversation, the woman actually pretends that the man does not have a sexual interest in her. She disarms everything that he says or does of his sexual background and sexual meaning. So, for example, sometime during the dinner, the man says to her, "Oh, you are so attractive," and she takes that in a totally non-sexual way, even though she knows even though she knows in some corner of the mind that the man is saying this because he is sexually interested in her. And later on during the dinner, the man takes her hand. And again, when he does that, she just leaves her hand there and pretends not to notice that the man has taken her hand. And obviously, there's a corner of her mind which knows that the man is taking her hand, as an expression of sexual interest in her. But she pretends to herself that the man is doing this purely in a gesture of non-sexual friendship. So in this way, she disarms everything that the man says or does during the date of his sexual meaning. We can also say that she is conscious of this sexual desire on the part of the man in order to flee this consciousness of the sexual desire. Why does she do that? Well, the simple explanation would be that she does that because if she were to confront or face the reality of the man's sexual desire head on, it'll be too terrifying and horrifying and awkward, to say the least. So it's easier to just pretend that the man doesn't have any sexual interest in her and that this whole thing is just a totally platonic date. And maybe some of you have had this encounter before, I don't know. But anyway, coming back to what I was just saying earlier, notice that the woman is she's conscious of the man's sexual desire in order to flee this consciousness of the sexual desire. And again, if you come back to what bad faith is, this is precisely bad faith. Because bad faith is to be conscious of one's freedom in order to flee this consciousness of the freedom. And why is she fleeing it? She's fleeing the consciousness of the sexual desire because she knows that if she doesn't flee the consciousness of the sexual desire, if she were to face the sexual desire head on, well, she'll be terrified of the sexual desire, and then she will have to do something about the sexual desire. Either she will have to reciprocate the man's sexual desire, or she would have to say no to the man. But right now, she's still undecided. She still doesn't know what she wants yet. She still doesn't know what she thinks of the man. So she decides to kind of put herself in this limbo zone, this place of limbo, in which she is simultaneously aware of, conscious of the sexual desire, and yet at the same time fleeing and running away from the sexual desire. And so this limbo zone, in which one is conscious of something in one's life while at the same time running away from it, this is what Sartre calls bad faith. So, and so of course the woman is in bad faith. But by saying that the woman is in bad faith, Sartre is not condemning the woman. He's definitely not saying she's a bad woman or bad person or anything like that. He's just saying that the woman is just an ordinary person who's trying to make sense of the fact that she's free, radically free in the world. And we ourselves, even if we haven't been in this particular situation as the woman, we can often think of many other situations in life where we are radically conscious of something in order to flee the consciousness of something. So in that sense, all of us have been in bad faith at one time or another. To be bad faith is totally human. It's part of the human condition. If you are one of those people, if you happen to be one of those rare people who have never ever been in bad faith before, I would like to talk to you. Maybe send me an email or come see me in my office. I would like to hear about your experiences, because that would be really interesting. Because Sartre's point is that it is impossible to be human without being in bad faith at one point or another. So anyway, this is all I have to say about bad faith. I hope you enjoy thinking and writing about bad faith. Thank you.